Hello and welcome back to Ensuring Success 2022, Day 2. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We hope you're enjoying this marathon session, 2 days of continuing professional education. I'm Gail Perry, Editor-in-Chief of CPA Practice Advisor magazine, and I would like to take a moment very quickly to introduce our sponsors who are making this event possible. Without them, we wouldn't be here. So they are ADP, Avalara, BotKeeper, CorePay1, CPA.com, Canopy, Caseware, Field Guide, eFile4Biz, Intuit, Right Networks, SafeSend, Sage, Suralink, TaxFile, TechGuru, Xero, and Zoho. And in particular, we're thanking our sponsor SafeSend, who is sponsoring this session right here, right now. If you're just joining us, I'd like to explain how CPE works. We will display at the bottom of the screen 3 times during the session. We'll display a 3-digit code that you need to write down. And when you hear this sound, you'll know that the code is on the screen and it's time for you to look up and write down the code. At the end of the day or whenever you're ready to collect your CPE credit, you can go to Get CPE Credit at the top of our screen and find the sessions that you attended, enter the codes you collected, and click the buttons. There's a go and then there's a download button to download your CPE certificate for any session that you attended. Also, we're on social media. Feel free to chat on social media about us. We would love all the attention we can get. Our hashtag is DecemberCPE. And finally, there is a Q&A box. It's called Ask a Question on your screen right under our pictures. If you have any questions for our speakers, you can post them there. If you have any tech questions, problems with your video or anything, you can post that there as well. Our tech crew is standing by to help with any problems you might have. Or if you have experiences you'd like to share with our panel, feel free to post that there too. We'd love to hear from you during this session. And speaking of this session is about, bring it up here a minute. Remember the title of the session. Sorry, delay. This session is using technology, to help with staffing issues. So, and next to me, I have our panel that's going to discuss this. I have Jennifer Scott, Sandra Wiley, Scott Fleszar, and Alexander DeFelice, and I'll have them each introduce themselves right now.
Thank you, Gail. I'm Jennifer Scott. I am the CEO and founder of Hire Effect. We provide bookkeeping, payroll, HR, and recruiting to owner-led small businesses, and I am very excited to be here.
Hi there, I'm Sandra Wiley. I am with Boomer Consulting, and I'm the president of that company. We are a group of great consultants who are working on training communities and consulting to CPA firms to help transform their businesses from the way we used to work to the way we should be working today. And we transform both the firm and the individual, and this is the best topic ever. I'm so glad to be here.
Scott.
Thanks, Gail. I'm Scott Fleszar. I'm CEO of SafeSend. At SafeSend, we provide the SafeSend Suite, which is a technology platform that helps firms be more efficient and better serve their clients all along the tax preparation engagement, including engagement letters and e-sign of any document, client organizers and secure document exchange, all the way through assembly, delivery, and e-sign of the completed tax return. This is a fantastic topic. I'm excited to be here. I've been serving the profession in various roles with software and technology across more than 25 years. My first time for Ensuring Success, and very excited to be here.
And I'm Alexandra DeFelice, Director of Marketing and Business Development for Payne & Fears Law Firm in Southern California, co-moderator with Gail for all of these sessions. Clearly, I'm excited to ring the bell, and this is my 8th year with Gail out of the 11 or 9 or several, however many. Anyway, but I'm just as excited as everyone else.
All right, super. So it seems that there have been some changes in the workplace over the past few years. And employees and employers are seeming to want different things, which is causing a little bit of maybe friction or at least rethinking the workplace. So where job seekers may want to be remote in their job, or hybrid, or flex, or in and out, or whatever, and employers are either on board or have a different viewpoint of what they're looking for, or they may want all their employees back in the fold in the office. So what kind of controversy are we seeing there, and what experiences have you had talking to companies that are trying to deal with this?
I can take that one to start. Okay, so we're seeing that one of the first questions a job seeker is asking us when our recruiting team reaches out is this a remote opportunity? If it doesn't say remote opportunity in the job ad itself, then they're asking, via email. Is that they don't even want to talk to us if it is not a remote or at the very least hybrid opportunity, probably more than 90% of the time.
Did you forget to put that in the ad? We were looking for
Yeah,
that.
seriously, they ask, is this, if it's not there, most of ours, we've had to actually adapt some of ours to, this is an in-person role. Because people applying just assume it's remote, and it's not. The clients that we have that are looking for in person, CPA needed in Dallas, Texas, it's hard to fill. They're hard to find. It's not a fun role as the recruiter trying to fill an in-person seat.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I would also tell you that I don't think it's just accounting firms right now.
Oh, it's not.
Right, it's the world. Because I heard statistics the other day that talked about how many more jobs there are than there are people to fill them right now. So if you're a job seeker, you have a lot of opportunity. If you are filling a job, it is hard right now. Now, I will also say that I think that the accounting profession is probably harder than others, right? So if you're looking for a new COO or a new HR director or a new, even a bookkeeper, I think you'll have more opportunity to find people than if you're looking for somebody with CPA behind their name. It is just harder to fill. They all have jobs, right? Especially, everybody out there. I made a comment to an audience the other day. I said, all right, if I said to you right now, I have an experienced tax manager, and they're looking for an opportunity, all you have to do is come up afterwards and give me your business cards. How many of you would give me your business cards, right? Everybody raised their hand.
Yeah.
So the reality is but they're all employed. So you're either going to have to take them away from somebody, or because they're unhappy and they're looking. Yeah. And it used to be that I would say, well, if they were moving, you might have an opportunity because they'd move to your area and then they'd start working with you. Not anymore, because if they move today, they keep working for the same company. So they're not looking for opportunity to move. So that, I think it's a hard place. And I think the power has shifted. The power used to be in the employer's hands. And we used to be able to hire at will, and we could call the shots.
Yeah.
Not anymore. The power, if you will, is in the employee's hands now, and they can ask for more compensation, they can ask for more benefits, they can ask for, I want to work remotely, and if you want them, you have to respond to that. So I think that is...
And they are all asking for higher comp right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's cyclical. I've been doing recruiting for over 30 years, and this is very much like the stock market, in fact, often correlation. You go through a candidate market, a client market, a candidate market, or an employer market.
I think also, it's very clear the profession, there is a talent war. Talent is scarce, at least talent that wants to come in and work the more traditional type, hours that has this profession has typically asked for. So the fact that you're going to need to have a great employee experience wherever the employees are and offer those opportunities is a must. Yeah. So it's not just about, how can I accommodate a workforce and seeking talent wherever it's at? You're going to have to offer that because all of your competitors are. This is supply and demand. Supply is low, demand is high, and that is putting more leverage with potential employees and candidates that you're seeking. So, it's not only a challenge to attract the best and brightest, but you have to also retain the best and brightest, because the flip side of that is There's an opportunity for anyone in your staff today to work at any other firm.
Go wherever they want, right?
Right.
I define employee retention as nothing more than constantly re-recruiting your current employees.
Absolutely. And I loved, Scott, what you said about the employee experience, right? From the time you're recruiting all the way through to when they decide they're going to exit, or maybe when you decide they're going to exit, right? That's the experience that they're going to feel and they're going to need. And I think that we have to start looking at that. And the one thing I keep thinking is we have to stop saying, well, that's not the way we used to do it, or that's not what I'm used to, or gosh, when I was growing up in the firm, blah, blah, stop it. Just stop that. Because the reality is nobody cares about what you went through. Everybody cares about what they're going through today. So just kind of stop that.
So
I wish I could
when you say re-recruiting, I mean, I'm sure we're going to delve into some of these issues, but give me what are your top 3 things that you do to re-recruit on a regular basis?
Check-ins, really being in touch with what your employees want. What's important to them. Motivating one person is not going to be as effective as motivating the next person if their motivations are not the same.
So is that a one-on-one conversation? How often?
We encourage our managers to meet with their staff weekly. When we're doing HR for clients, we'll go with their cadence, but no less than quarterly. We do monthly surveys, just trying to understand where our team is at.
What are some of the questions in the surveys?
Here are our core values. How well do you think the leadership team adheres to these core values? How do you feel them, throughout your day? Are you happy with the benefits that we're providing? What other benefits would you like to see? We get a lot around professional development. I mean, I just heard it loud and clear, right? Yes, you offer opportunities to do professional development, but we don't have any time.
Right.
Yep.
So I hired additional bookkeepers so that my bookkeepers had some breathing room in the hopes that they could actually take professional development. So you really got to tap in.
Yeah.
Yep. But I got to tell you, I agree with everything you're saying, and I love the spot surveys where you do just a one question, right? It doesn't have to be this long questionnaire, just a quick question. And there's a million resources out there where you can find those. Just go on Google, what are some questions I should ask my employees monthly? And there's millions of them out there. Pick the ones that are, here's what I would tell you. Pick the ones that you can take action on.
Yeah.
But if you survey the heck out of your people and then you do nothing with it, you will be in way worse shape than if you wouldn't ever ask the question to begin with.
Yes.
So make sure that you're willing to. Now, you don't have to take action on every single thing they say, but you've got to take some action. And if you're not going to take action, you've got to be transparent.
You have to address it.
And tell them why, right?
You have to address
or
it.
Or you're right. Don't ask, if you know, right, I'm not going to change my benefits this year.
Yeah.
Then don't ask the question, what other benefits would you like? Let's be silly.
I actually like this. This isn't maybe what you were suggesting, but instead of having a 10-question survey, having one question per month, right? Because I'm more likely to fill that out.
Shoot, yeah.
That might be a good idea.
So we do typically 4, and the last one is always, would you recommend Higher Effect as a great place to work?
And what? They all love you? No one has.
It's me.
Of course.
We range from highly yes to yes mostly, and it was funny. This last month I got I'm brand new. I'm not sure yet, which is cool.
Fair.
I like that.
That's okay.
What if someone rates you low?
If they're anonymous surveys, so I don't know who they are.
Oh, okay.
I think one of the things also for our profession in particular, because it's so seasonal, and I've just heard this from firms that I feel operate very effectively and have a great culture for their staff, is when you get done with tax season, immediately or very soon right after tax season, you do some type of debrief with the whole staff about how the most stressful, most challenging time of year went. And that's where leadership can learn about all the pain points that they might not be aware of. That's where I think technology solutions can really come into play, where you introduce the idea that, oh, I didn't realize we had these gaps in our workflow and our process, and you need to do it right after tax season. You need to give all of the staff a voice in that. You need to compile that, and that becomes a bigger project. But that's when you can make incremental changes and really. First of all, make your firm more efficient and in a better place, but also, the satisfaction that the staff gets from, airing some of their concerns and having action.
Okay, I think we need to take our first
We are.
break.
We're going to take our first break. We're going to hear a word from our sponsor, SafeSend, and then we'll be back with your first CPE code. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. And if you look on the bottom of your screen right now, you should see the first CPE code for this session. All right, that bell is your reminder to be sure to record that code if you're planning on collecting CPE credit for this session.
That's new for this year.
It is, and people love it.
Okay, so Scott, yesterday, before the commercial break, you were talking about how you could use technology to solve some of these problems. So let's hear more about that.
Sure, big topic, but really the technology that firms implement and roll out can have a huge impact on making work easier and more efficient for the staff, elevating client service, mitigating security risks. But getting back to the staffing piece of it, you have to think first about your current team, retaining your best people. So you're going to need to provide technology tools that eliminate, manual tasks, that make workflow more efficient, that fills in gaps where you might be relying upon people to do admin type staff or admin type work, so that you can get to a place where you have, that the firm has more time. They can, leverage that in a variety of different ways, whether it's providing other services, but technology, cloud-based technology as a platform for your firm, it's going to allow you to employ staff wherever they're at, serve clients without the benefit of, seeing them in person, and really position your firm as progressive and providing a great employee experience so that, again, you can attract the best and brightest and retain the best and brightest. So it comes back to really inventorying what's going on in your firm and understanding where you have inefficiencies and where technology can help.
So when we're having these conversations with clients about, are you seeing our core values represented in the firm, and do you like our benefits, or whatever you're asking them on a regular basis just to check in because they're not in your office and in your face all the time. What kind of tools can be used along with that to help just maintain the culture of the firm and keep everyone who's not in person feeling like they're part of the team?
Any video conference tool. I mean, we're a Microsoft shop, so we rely very heavily on Teams. Whether it's the Teams video calls, the Teams chat, the different channels you can set up. We have a water cooler channel, which I love, and it's literally to
Gossip.
have the conversations you would have standing at the traditional water cooler in your office, right, or the break room.
Yeah.
We have a kudos channel, which just kind of highlights the, hey, thanks for helping me out with this. You did awesome, or this client thought you were amazing at solving this problem. Thank you, or even especially recognizing people who live our core values. So recognizing like one of our core values is technology forward. So, great job doing some research on finding a solution for this particular problem that we couldn't solve, and you found a piece of technology that could support this. Great job.
Yep.
So I love the kudos channels. And then our teams have their own chats, which is kind of funny. There's no leadership invited.
Yeah.
Like, we're not on those chats. So the bookkeepers chat, the recruiters chat, the HR people, it's great. And someone will eventually step forward, usually, saying, hey, this is what's going on with this person. You might want to check in, which is helpful.
Yeah. I think we're always looking for how can we make life easier for, well, you were talking about do the debrief after a really busy time, right? What's worked, what didn't work? I think some people feel like when you're thinking about technology and the process that they just went through when they were doing tax returns and they were in the busiest part of their year, they think that what we talk about when we talk about you need to have better technology or look at your technology solutions, they think you're going to solve the entire the entire process. It's not. It's taking what you just talked about, pieces of the process, and automating them. Because there are things that, the biggest pushback you get about any kind of automation is, well, how will they learn how to do the work? Sure. Well, they're going to learn how to do the work. They just don't have to do all the little steps along the way. So find the pieces that you can automate and make those better. That makes a better experience for your team. That will keep them there. So
I need to add to that.
Yeah.
Because right on my website, I have a giant line that says, adding technology to a broken process just makes a faster broken process.
you are absolutely right.
You have to understand the steps along the way, and then figure out where you can implement technology to make it more efficient, to make it less manual, but if you have a broken process, all the technology in the world is not going to help you.
You are absolutely right. So I think that's important. I guess the only other thing I would say was, and this is foundational, and it seems like I shouldn't even have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway,
Go for it.
is right now hybrid, working from a distance, is absolutely a part of everybody's DNA, right? It should be. And by the way, if you don't have that as a part of your DNA, you should have. So hybrid, remote has to be part. But what we don't want is for the people, you say, okay, yes, you can work remotely, and then the computer they get, the screen they get, the camera they get, everything that they get to work at home is so antiquated that they had better technology when they were in college, right? Yeah. Their own technology is better. You cannot do that to people. You have to invest in them working from home, just like they were working in the office, and you have to have it all in the cloud. It has to be easy information to get to, secure, don't want to take security away, but it has to be easy to get to. And that's the way you'll make it efficient. So look at your technology and make sure that they can work just as efficiently if they sit down in the morning at home as if they were sitting down in your office, right? So it has to be both.
Absolutely. You both comment on something I wanted to add on. So you made mention, Sandra, of just, you're not going to, in one fell swoop, solve all problems with technology.
Right.
It is important, especially for firm leadership, to pay attention to the trend line and be communicating the trend line back to the team that, hey, we might not have solved everything, but look how far we've come. So I think it's important kind of on an ongoing basis to be reviewing it and then communicating with the staff changes that you're making and really how far you've come. Yeah. And then you made mention kind of at SafeSend we have a wins channel where we are able to recognize individuals. And you made mention of someone finding a new piece of technology. I think for firms, they need to have some people, they need to have at least someone in the firm that has dedicated time to keep looking into new technology, into new solutions, because it's always changing. There's always new things coming out. And it's not only about new pieces of technology that might not be in the firm, but it's all of the evolution of current technology that firms have. We're always adding to our platform, and we're continually re-educating our customers about that because they're not getting the most out of it, even with what they already have licensed in their firm.
Yep, that happens all the time. I just had a client actually tell me a new feature of a solution, a tech solution that we're partners with that I didn't even know about. I was like, wait, what? Okay.
But you're right. Somebody has to commit to doing that, right? There's got to be somebody, whether they're your chief innovation officer or whether they're your managing partner. It's got to be somebody, or even better yet, somebody who just joined the firm who just really loves technology,
and
right?
they're on the front lines.
Yeah,
And
they're on the front lines and they know. Yeah,
We empower every single employee.
Absolutely.
To find a solution. If there is a problem, first go to the team, right? Somebody else is likely have solved this problem before. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're bookkeeping, we're running payroll, we're doing HR, we're recruiting, right? Somebody has solved this problem before. If not, or that process was manual, let's look into, maybe team up with someone and look into vetting a couple of tech solutions and reviewing a couple of tech solutions, but every single employee in the company is empowered to do that.
Yeah.
We don't have one dedicated, we have one or two or three people who love doing that, and so they do more of it, and that's great, because it makes them happy,
right?
And it helps the rest of the team.
Yep.
So
there are people who have a penchant to like to do those kind of things, so yeah.
Okay, we're going to take another quick break. Another quick word from our sponsor, and SafeSend, and then we'll be right back with our second CPE code. So. We are back, and we are displaying on the bottom of your screen the second CPE code for this session. Be sure to record this code if you're planning on collecting CPE credit for this session. Okay, so what can we talk about regarding changes in workflow and work processes that are related to a hybrid workforce and how technology is helping with that?
So just to be clear, it's on the processes, but we're also talking about how does the process shift and morph, because we got people working from home now, right? So the reality is it shouldn't change anything, right? I mean, it shouldn't change anything. If you're in the cloud, if you've got the right technology in place, if you've got the right people in place that are doing the right things, it shouldn't change a thing. Right. However, we all know that it did change some things because some people weren't prepared for the huge amount of people to move home and then say, I don't want to come back. I really kind of like this, right? Or I want to come back some days, but not every day. So I think that it has changed. It's very interesting. We call it change leadership, right? It is about leadership within the firm, recognizing that they need to look at the process again, infuse it with the right technology, But it is about the process. A lot of people start with the technology. That is a mistake. You have to start with, let's look at our process and make sure that it is one-way workflow. Let's make sure that there's no loops in there and that there's not some bottlenecks in there. Let's look at the entire process first. And now let's look at the technologies that are out there and how can we solve our issues along the way. But look at it with the glasses on that say, how does this work for everybody, whether they're sitting in our office or not? And that's where you start. I think you start with process, and then you look at technology. So that'd be my suggestion for people.
Yeah, you had mentioned, Sandra, leadership, and I think leadership is a really key aspect here. What we see, especially with some larger firms, is that the firm is just a set of little fiefdoms for partner A, partner B, partner C, and they're doing things, each one of them are doing things differently.
Yep.
The best run firms have really solid central leadership. They have, the authority to, implement technology in such a way that, again, is going to make all staff more efficient and have processes be consistent, make the client experience, the technology side of the client experience where clients are interacting with the firm digitally, make that consistent, which really helps the firm's brand because now there's not a different experience based upon whichever partner you're working with. Right. But it really takes strong leadership. I think there's a blind spot with many firms, senior leadership, about this aspect of really stepping back and thinking about how do we operate and what can we do, regardless of how long the partner's been there. We're not going to necessarily do it your way. We're going to do it the best way, the right way for our firm. So I think there's some challenges even before you start to diagnose problems with leadership, and like you said, change leadership.
Yeah.
I think another piece of it that a lot of people forget is documentation. So if you have not documented every step in the process so that somebody brand new can come in, sit down, and read how to do their job, how to work for that particular client, not just a process overall, but what are the nuances that are needed for this client? Because when you've got a remote workforce, they're not learning from osmosis sitting next to you while they're training.
Right.
And so that kind of documentation is key. If you've got a staff that are keeping their knowledge in their heads, and there's a transition on the team, or someone gets, regardless, right? They get promoted, they leave, they go on maternity leave, like whatever it is, you're leaving your clients open for problems.
Yep.
When those processes are not documented. And there's a ton, project management software, whatever tools you want to use to do that. I'm not suggesting writing them out on paper, but any sort of, project management tool, even if you're using a wiki or OneNote or, whatever, right? Yep. Making sure that those things are in writing and having that cross training so that someone can sit down and say, okay, you do it, follow these steps, let's review it after.
Yep.
What did I miss?
I completely agree with you, but I got to tell you, there is a methodology out there, right? It started in manufacturing, and it has spread to other businesses, right?
I knew you were going to go here, which
you
is
knew,
great.
right?
Yeah.
Scott's like, okay, Sandra, when are you going to bring this up?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to bring it up. So bottom line is, right, it's Lean Six Sigma, right? That's been around for years, but we haven't really adopted it as well as we could have over the years in accounting.
Right.
But Lean Six Sigma, and your first step in getting that is a green belt training, right? So it basically teaches you the methodology for how you look at and then change a process. So I would be remiss in saying that that's not an important step. If you don't have someone in your firm that is green belt certified, that really understands that Lean Six Sigma process and how to work it within your firm, man, you should look at that. You can look me up online. You can look up Boomer Consulting. This is my complete pitch, right? But bottom line is we do that, right? We teach people how, and what happens is they learn the methodology, they learn how to run a project. We walk them through the project. They get to then go back to their firm and actually create the project and make it happen. Now, here's what's really interesting. So we're talking about change leadership. What I find fascinating is that people hate change, right? We all know
Shocking.
that. Like nobody likes change. Now maybe there's a few people out there, but they're strange people. But nobody likes change. Nobody likes change. But the reality is that. So this was interesting. I had a client tell me this the other day. They changed from one software to another, and they did, and everybody hated it. And they went and they used it for a year, and then at the end of that year, they decided, oh, that was a really bad decision. We're going to go back. Oh. The people, so they learned it for a year, so they go back to them and say, well, we're going to go back. They thought everybody's going to be so happy. No. Yeah. People were angry again because they're like, no, we just learned this one now. We don't want to go back, even though they knew how to run the other one. They just don't like change. Right. So don't let the fact that some of your people hate change be the reason that you don't change. Do not let that be you, right? Know that you're in leadership position and make the appropriate changes to make your firm run well.
Yeah, and I go back to documentation for a second though, because as much as I love, lean and all the things, have the people doing it do the documentation.
Yep.
Here's the thing I do. Here's the step I took. Here's the thing I did. Here's the step I took.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing. Some of these things don't need giant project management, right? They just need the steps.
Yeah. And I love the idea of documentation. I also think now there's a lot of firms out there that are creating videos.
Yeah.
Right? So, and they're so easy now. They used to be so hard. Now they're screenshots, yes, and they write and they talk it through.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important too. So there's lots of ways to document.
Absolutely.
But whatever will work for you, make it happen.
Yeah.
So
I have a related question. Do I have time for that came in from the audience? Actually, a bunch of them are coming in, but I'm enjoying the conversation so much I don't want to interrupt you. But this one is. I understand remote tax preparers. My question is, what about people like receptionists and clerks who scan client documents or help with other offline research, lists, special projects? Most importantly, how do I train new employees or new processes as a small sole proprietorship?
I got this one, at least to start, if
for
I
it.
can. So voice over IP solves your reception problem. You get lines that ring in various areas. The receptionist can still be at home. Nobody needs to know about it. You get a speed scanner or a regular scanner. We have a really cool one that just kind of scans like 1 million pages in 5 seconds. It's awesome. Right up into the cloud. Shared documents, you can work on those documents, file by client, however many folders you need, but SharePoint, again, if you're a Microsoft shop, Google Docs, if you're a Google shop, super easy to be 100% remote. We've been 100% virtual since 2007.
And I think those are great. Just to add on, a piece of this is also training your clients. So, clients might be used to dropping off paper, and you might still offer that type of service, but maybe you charge a little bit differently for it. But there's sophisticated tools out there. We offer it in our platform. There's other platforms that offer it, where it's very easy for clients to upload source documents, upload QuickBooks files, what have you, securely. And streamline the process so that the client doesn't have to stop by the office, they don't have to mail anything. It becomes a fully digital process, starting with the client and heading into the firm.
So we've actually sent clients FedEx labels to ship us their boxes when we're doing cleanup for whatever. It's so funny.
I got to tell you though, that I think that what you're saying is absolutely true. But I think it's a mindset issue. I do not think that the problem is that your receptionist wants to work from home. That is not your problem. The problem is that we look at the problem and we try to put it in the box of the way we've always done it,
right,
rather than saying, how can we make this work? And so what you're talking about is using the technology to solve the issue. The reality is they can work from home. We also are fully remote. We have 20 employees, 8 different states. We have no main office. Somebody said we came by to see you the other day in Kansas City and you weren't there. And I said, well, that's because the only time we're there is if we're training, right? If we're teaching or if we have a community going on. We all work from home, so you would have to come by my house, and that's in another state, so I don't know.
They told us they tried to drop off a gift, and it was a UPS store, because our main address is a P.O. box. Yep. Sorry, guys.
But see, that is the issue, right? I mean, there are going to be issues with working remotely. the only thing holding you back from solving the issue is if you say it can't be done.
Right.
You find a way to make it happen. But
And
we know it can be done.
Right. And Alexandra, going back to the training piece of it, again, I think it's a matter of documentation, right? You do videos with the person in the job or the person who's going to be training you. You have the documentation there. You have the process there. You do, a couple hours at a time of training over video, and it's honestly,
It's
I like
almost
it
better because you can record it,
Yeah.
right? And like I've had that where there are tasks that my coordinator has to do that are like, my mind is like, I don't want to do this, but if she's on vacation, I have to do it, right? It's like getting out a client or something. So like I have her train me on video and I record it and I like reference that because I only have to do it like however many days she's out of the office the whole year, right?
Right.
And with video, don't think about it only inside the firm either. So a firm I know, they basically rolled out, this is our new tax drop-off process. Here's the video, and this was effectively educating clients on how to securely, send them their source documents digitally. So you can do things to really better educate the client base, your client base, and get them prepared for this is how we do business, and indicate this is how we do business. So.
That's interesting too. So I was thinking about, we were talking with some clients the other day and they said, well, our clients aren't going to want to do that. And I said, I think we have to take back over control of our clients. We have let the client dictate, in many firms, I won't say all, but many firms, we've let the client dictate how we are going to focus and how we're going to work with them, right? How we're going to focus on what they're doing. The reality is we have to take that back and we have to say, when you onboard a client, which is usually, those aren't the hard ones, right? Those are the easy ones. You onboard them, you teach them how your system works, and this is how we work. And if you're not going to work that way, then we probably can't work with you. The harder ones are ones, I've got a client that I've had for 30 years, and now I've changed my technology. But you know what? With a little hand holding, with a little video, with a little expectation setting, it can be done. It's going to be a little bit tougher with the clients already there. But I think we have to start dictating that. And we have truly, I say this all the time, we are the nicest profession.
accommodating.
Oh my gosh, we are just the nicest people ever, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, what doctor is going to let you tell them how to, how to treat their
Exactly.
So here comes another question. But who's going to do the scanning if someone's not in the office? Clients can't upload elderly clientele. I have an admin to do this because I don't have time. Help, Jack.
Okay. So, there's lots of technology, right? We use a piece of software, or it's not really software anymore, but an app. You can put it on your cell phone. Everyone has a mobile phone that has a camera these days. You literally snap a picture and either send it right from your phone into the solution, or if it's already on your computer, you can email it.
Okay, so I know we're going to have a security session later, but now you have people at home with my own phone taking a picture of somebody's tax document or something.
But you're not using your phone's
camera.
Well, you're using your phone's camera. You're not storing it on your phone, and you're not sending it through Wi-Fi, through the however cell phones work. You're sending it through the app, so it is secure.
Yeah.
And it's great. And then what the benefit to that too is, depending on what it is, if it's not just a picture, let's say it's a receipt or it's backup documentation, it's an invoice, it's OCR, like it's read. So there's no more data entry. Now you're coding instead of typing in the vendor, the payment, right? You're now just coding that transaction because it's read, optical character recognition, done.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And certainly in terms of financial statements, like bank statements, broker statements, or anything, you can be given online access to
Yeah,
those,
absolutely.
So you don't need to go through the
secure
scanning
document
process.
exchange. That's exactly
Right.
So a question came in, and you guys throwing out a lot of things like this and that and that. Can you break it into categories? What are the different tech categories that and this person particularly asked for best time savings?
And we're going to give you 1 minute to think about that while we have
Okay.
one quick word again from our sponsor,
Great idea.
SafeSend. We'll be back with your third CPE credit and the answer to this question I know you're waiting for. Welcome back. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you should see your third CPE code for this session. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, be sure to record that code if you're planning on collecting CPE credit for this session. Okay, let's break this down a little bit more. We had a question coming in about categories of technology that we want to make sure that are covered when you're talking about using technology to help solve your staffing issues.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can think about it from a couple different dimensions. You can think about service offerings in the firm, audit, tax, advisory, and then you will have technology in your firm that fundamentally is about automation, especially document type automation, automating how information flows through the firm, and then technology that is client-facing, client of the firm. So what's happening though across the profession is more and more technology platforms are offering, more than one, I'll say, category. And that's true for our platform at SafeSend, where we're really just trying to automate all of the tax preparation engagement, all of the workflow around documents and all of the client touch points. But then there's other platforms that do those types of things for other areas of the practice. And then, you have to think about document management in the firm. That would be a category. And how are you managing your client information and storing it that way? There would be, I'll say, how you're managing your staff and your, whether it's scheduling or, how you assign out work. You'll have systems for that. I don't know if there's other.
I would break it down even to the processes inside your business. So again, we're not tax, so I can't speak to the things that you just said in some cases, but there's ways to automate AP. There's ways to automate some of the components of AR. There's ways to automate some of the, the rules inside of QuickBooks, for example, that you can set up, the rules inside of your the way you capture receipts or invoices that you can set up that automate. We actually measure that automation month over month to try and reduce, improve efficiency within our own firm. So I think you've got, each individual process inside your business is going to have something. There's automation, there's tech, there's something for everything. Then I think you need to focus on communication. How are you communicating with your clients? How are you communicating with your team? How are you organizing your email? Are you going to stick with Outlook, or do you want something that does, different things for managing email? I think you need to think about your project management and how you're making sure that no steps are being missed in the process along the way. I'll go back to having an applicant tracking system. If you're hiring, how are you knowing if you've interviewed this candidate 3 years ago and already ran the background check and you can't hire them, but you don't remember their name, or it's a different partner, different manager interviewing that person, right? Have an applicant tracking system to manage that process. There's literally tech for every aspect of what you do every day.
You almost have to look for red flags. If you're relying upon paper, that's a red flag.
Correct.
If you're opening up Excel to manage something, you're probably, there's probably technology that can help with that.
That's not what I'm talking about, not running spreadsheets, but if you're,
I am.
literally managing your applicant flow or your client list in Excel,
Right.
you got to look at that.
There's software for that, right?
Yes.
That's exactly, I got to tell you, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I would say that all that you're talking about is awesome, but I'm sitting here thinking, if I'm the audience, I am completely and utterly overwhelmed, right? So, where do you start?
One step at a time.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, I think this session was all about people and technology, right? And let's look at the people side just for a second. And it's all about the work that they're going to be doing on a daily basis, but it is also, you hit it on the head, I think communication is huge. If people are going to be working from wherever the heck they are, right? Remote, hybrid, whatever they are, they want to be able to get to somebody to ask a question or get to, so having the conversation about what technology to use and how you use it. So in our company, if it's a one quick sentence, like I've got a really quick question for you, it's one sentence, it's instant messenger, right? We use instant messaging. If it's a paragraph where you go, okay, this needs a little bit more explanation, and you do a little bit more, then that's an email. But if it is a long email, it's a conversation.
Yep.
You set a time on their calendar, and you get a Zoom meeting, and we do no meetings, none, unless they're video, right? We don't do anything unless you can see the person. So somebody said, when's the last time we actually had a phone call? Yeah. I said, I don't remember. I mean, never, right? So
I did today because I was in the conference room.
There you go.
I couldn't do Teams.
I saw you.
We call it camera on culture at
Yeah,
SafeSend.
it's camera on culture. And so you have to the other thing, you got to get past what they're wearing, right? You just got to get past it. Or how their hair looks, or how their makeup is, right?
So
get over that.
without getting on that digression, which I could talk about forever, Sandra, I think what you're saying is choose the right channels and the right tools for the right things.
Yes. Yes.
The one thing I would just add, and because again, the question came in and we probably didn't do the best job of answering it, but oftentimes it's describe your problem. And where you can describe your problem and get good feedback is online message boards, it's groups like Boomer Consulting, it's reach out to your peers and figure out what's working for other firms, what are the best practices. Really, peer interaction and peer feedback, whether it's online, in person, groups, affiliations, those are really important, and that's where I think firms, figure out shortcuts. Wow, it would have taken me forever to figure out that I needed this, but I just learned from another firm, this is.
That's really interesting because and it's not, I didn't forget about the communities, but at Boomer we have communities, and it's so interesting because we put so much time into running those communities and making sure the agenda's right and all that. And you know what? We get the highest rating on every time we do a community. Peer conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're sharing best practices, right?
Absolutely. And
so
we do that. You could do it on Facebook. You can do it on LinkedIn. There are channels. Absolutely. And I would say, honestly, we love doing that kind of consulting for small businesses. So we share a lot of our tips and tricks on social media.
Yeah. That's
right? I don't need to get, if you want help implementing that, that's a different conversation. Sure. But I have no problem telling you who we're partnering with.
Yeah.
Right, and it doesn't have to be something so complex, right? So, within my favorite thing on my computer is that little snipping tool where you can take it. I use it every single day, multiple times a day. Yep. And I have taught so many people in my firm, they're like, what is that you're doing? I'm like, it's my favorite tool in the world. And it's it's still
it's built in.
And it's built in, and it's making my job easier and better, and it's being able to circle something for a person without having to get on a shared screen thing. But that's what I mean. You don't have to overcomplicate technology.
Yeah. Sometimes we try to make it way too complex, and it doesn't have to be that complex. So
I will say though, in an accounting focus, make sure whatever you're choosing to use integrates with your main system.
Good point.
Because if it doesn't, again, you're adding technology, and now you're going to break your process because they don't feed. And
we've heard that through many sessions, so thank you for saying reminding people of that.
That's a great point. A great point.
Okay, if I can stop coughing. I want to just go back to one thing that Jennifer said earlier on, which I think is so important, which was the documentation of steps of how to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when you hire somebody new or you're throwing new technology at people, and you take it for granted that, well, this is how we do it. And even long before everything was technology, when I was working in public accounting, you go into a firm and they say, here, you're a CPA, you've been in tax, you know how to do it, here, start working. And we're adults, and so it's difficult to have to go to someone and say, well, how do I do this?
You're supposed to know you're the expert, but that's not the way we do things here.
Exactly.
And then you get in trouble for doing what you've always done.
Right. Yeah. So having the processes all laid out, it'll take a little time, but it's so worth it, no matter what the process is.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think we're at the end of our time. So thank you so much. This was an excellent panel. It was so much fun. We are going to take a 1-hour break. and then we will be back at the top of the next hour with our next session, which is on time management. So we will see you in an hour. And thank you also to SafeSend for sponsoring this session and to our great panel. Thank you.
Thank you.